Yeah, hi friends, it's Harpreet Singh. So today, this is my first video for Sikh American Talks, and I like to cover a community leader from Tracy, and she's doing, I think, phenomenal job in terms of representing the community at different levels. Either it's in her profession or it's with the school boards and in the city of Tracy, and also representing, I think, the political candidates we have from the community. So without just talking more, I'd like to just ask a few questions to her, and so that we can provide you more information, and maybe you can get inspired and just follow her path to get into the positions, because we need community leaders to be in deciding position, because without that, I think you cannot have proper representation. Okay, Simran, thanks
Hi,
for
thank you. Thank you for
being
having
my
me.
first
Oh yes, always.
guest. And
Always a pleasure. I'm glad we're doing this, because I think overall it'll help all our students or any individuals that want to be interested in politics or even becoming a district attorney. So I'm really glad that you've come up with this idea and we're doing it.
Thank you. So my first question would be, can you provide little background about yourself, what you are presently doing?
Yeah, of course. So, hello everyone again, and my name is Simran Kaur, and currently I'm living in Tracy, and I'm working as a deputy district attorney for San Joaquin County, and I'm also a little bit involved in the community, and I sit on a board. It's a school board for Tracy Unified School District.
So getting into deputy district attorney, and it's a long word.
Yeah.
So how you get into that position? If you can provide some explanation, what qualification you need and what kind of character you need.
Yeah, of course. So what I can tell you about my journey, and I came from India when I was 15, and we moved to San Jose. I grew up there particularly, and then you get your bachelor's. You have to have your bachelor's if you want to become a lawyer. And I got my bachelor's in biology from San Francisco State, and then I went on to and decided that I wanted to be a lawyer. So I also got you get your Juris Doctorate, from University of Pacific. And while I was going to school, I did have an opportunity on campus. We used to have these interviews, and I was one of the few that got selected to work as an intern in the San Joaquin County District Attorney's Office. I believe I started working there my second year of law school. So law school is 3 years, and so second year of law school, I started working at the District Attorney's Office. Going into law school, I never thought that I would become a criminal lawyer. I thought that I would use my biology background and maybe do something along the lines of patent law or something with environmental law, but
That's a
totally,
total transformation.
yep, totally switched. And I did work in a civil law firm for environmental law my first year of law school. I have to say I didn't love it as much. So then when I got into the DA's office, I just loved it. I loved that we got to go to court every day. I loved we had so much interaction with every other DA that was available. And it's just the courtroom experience, I think, that drew me into it.
Oh, okay. So I think so. At first place, can you tell like why you even think about law school? Like it was your dream to go to law school when you were a kid, because usually people just think about that in that age.
Yeah.
So like how you went to law school?
Well, Harpreet, one other thing about me, I've had various dreams of the things that I wanted to do.
Yeah,
So
obviously.
I think when I was very young, I always wanted to be an air hostess. And then my grandpa didn't necessarily like that idea. So then I dropped that idea for some reason. I don't know why. And then it ended up being that I was like, my parents, obviously, our Indian parents, right? They were like, well, why don't you become a doctor? And I was like, you know what? Yeah, that sounds great. I'll just, go to dentist school. I'll become a dentist. And this is what we're going to do, which explains why I did my bachelor's in biology,
Oh, okay.
right? Because I was doing pre-med and I wanted to go to med school. And while I was taking those classes, I also started, like during summer school, started taking law classes and I started taking argumentative classes. And I just got more and more into it, and finally, I believe my third year of biology degree, my undergrad, I told my parents that this is what I wanted to do. They were definitely disappointed, and they were like, "No, there's nothing you're gonna do." And you know, it was hard telling them, because all throughout my life I had been setting it up to be like, I'm gonna be a dentist and I'm gonna go to med school, but they finally came around, and I went to law school, and that's that.
Wow, because I think so. This is a really very good lesson, and also a good advice for the students which are presently in undergrad, that you have to explore all your courses and then think about what you like to do.
100%.
Because sometimes you can think about something, but it doesn't turn out like that, and maybe you don't like that profession. So so always, I think, go through your undergrad and then just think about the things. So for the next question, so you went through law school and then you just got the job of DDA. So being a DDA, what do you typically do in a day? Like, what's your day, which we can, I think probably you can provide some little bit of details, what you actually do.
Of course. So I do want to go back to a little bit to the question, the first question, the last question. I know, I can talk, lawyer, you know. So the last question, I think my grandpa had a lot of influence into what I wanted to do. Even when I would tell him I wanted to be an air hostess, he knew I would argue all the time. So to him, he was like, you should be a lawyer. You should just be a lawyer. And I would always, I think it was sort of a rebellious nature. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do something opposite of what you want. And then I later on did what I think he thought I would do eventually. And as a deputy district attorney, my everyday looks like we get cases, and I'll explain the process of how we get criminal cases. Let's say there is a DUI and somebody's driving under the influence and they get pulled over. So the police officers are the ones who pull you over, as everyone knows that. And the police officer then does an investigation. After their investigation is complete, then they will turn over their investigation and their report and their, let's say, blood report or any toxicology report that they've taken. They'll turn it over to our DA's office. Then we have a few charging DAs in our office, and those charging DAs then decide, are we going to charge this case? Are we not going to charge this case? And it's based on certain things, whether we can prove this case and whether there's probable cause to charge this case. Because at the end of the day, we're looking at, look, are we going to be able to take this court case to trial and win? Or are we able to take this case to in front of the jury and explain why this individual was charged? Once the charging decision has been made, then the case then gets to the calendar deputies, and those calendar deputies try to resolve cases. And let's say it's set for trial. I'll mostly get it when cases are in their initial phases, and you have to do some hearings or it's going to trial. That's how I get my caseload. And then you make appearances. You essentially follow those cases and you make appearances on it, see what's going on. You figure out discovery, because you, as you all probably know, you have Brady obligations to discover everything over. So you figure out discovery and you figure out offers and whatnot.
Okay, so I think, thanks. I think that's because why it's important, because people have misconceptions about that. If crime happened and you know probably some DDA or DA and you just ran away to them and just say, okay, this crime happened, and just file a charges against that person. So so I think the people need to understand what's the process that she has explained, that you have to first go to the police and then they determine if they write the report, and then they send to DA's office, and then they decide if they want to file charges or not.
Yeah.
Because it's really essential information, because at least I have like many questions like that coming from people, but because they don't know.
Yeah, of course.
Because especially we are coming from India, so it has a different system, and US has a different criminal justice system. So So it's really very important. So I think the next phase I'd like to just go to, it's about your social activities. I think you have been recently elected as a board member in, I think, trustee as a trustee in the Tracy School Board District. So can you just tell us? I mean, because I think being a lawyer, I can understand it's a very busy schedule, and with that you just ran an election and just won that election. So tell us about that experience.
Yeah. So when I would have to say a ton of the credit goes to my husband, because when we both met, both of us wanted to be involved in the community and wanted to do something for the community. And as when we got married, we moved to Tracy, and as we were getting more and more involved, we realized that there is so much need within our community, and to just even to get information, to spread information, there's a ton of need as well, right? And one of my best, really good friends is Dan Ariola, and he used to sit on the board for school board, and he's a deputy district attorney with me, and he asked me to run for school board. Initially, I remember telling my husband numerous times, like, no, I'm not going to do it. We don't have time. There's no way. We're involved in so many things. I don't know how we're going to make time for an election. And also we were trying to find our roots within this community. And personally, I thought we needed more time, and I said, let's slowly do it. And ultimately, like how every decision is made in my life, it's impromptu. So I was like, okay, let's file it. Let's do it. Let's just do it. And we ended up filing for the school board, and we worked really hard, because, for anything that you want in life, you have to work extremely hard. And we were, by Waheguru's Kirpa, we were successful. So that's how we got, I would say, I got involved into the school board. And thereafter, I think, they say when one door opens, 100 doors open for you as well. So from there on after, we saw, okay, maybe we should do this as well. Maybe we should, here's a homelessness issue, and we should get involved here. Here are senior citizens that we need to get involved with, and we should get involved here. So, the more involved you get, I think the more need you see to get involved. So that's how we got involved.
Oh, great. I think that was the great decision you took, because otherwise... Oh,
thank you.
People just... I think always people think about... I think every person is busy with something.
Yeah, 100%.
So that's always, I think, one of the excuse to not do anything.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
But there are, I think, a lot of opportunities. If you miss, you don't know how your life would be. So with the school board, can you explain what you do in that board, and what kind of decisions you make?
Yeah, primarily for the school board, it's we want to be fiscally responsible. We want to make sure that we're making decisions that are good for our school board, because we went through a period of Tracy Unified where our financial responsibility wasn't that great, and thankfully when we got on, we didn't have that issue, but we had a ton of issues within the unions and the admin. So we've been trying to still resolve them and figure out a way we can all coherently work together. And mostly it's day to day. What I would say is we make decisions about can the teachers go here? Should the teachers get this training? And just essentially fiscal responsibility and more decisions based on the budgeting portion of it, because as you can tell, we're in declining enrollment for Tracy Unified, and that's one of our biggest issue right now, is because you only get so much money based on each student that is enrolling into your district. So we've had to make some hard decisions, but those are the types of decisions we make that impact our students as well, and as to what policies should we adapt. Our biggest role on the board is to come up with policies that we see are going to benefit our district, and then the superintendent gets to implement those policies. So we're essentially, you could say, our biggest role is to hire or fire a superintendent and give him vision that this is where we would like our district to go, and then the superintendent then goes and implements those policies.
Oh, good. So So now you have transitioned into the phase of being a politician.
A little bit.
So I think so. Just tell us about your experience being, I think, also working in the daytime and being politician probably after 5 o'clock.
Yeah,
or,
like right
or
now.
on the weekends, or on
Yeah.
the weekend.
Yeah.
So how that transition has been for you in life?
Yeah, I think we're extremely grateful. Our community is, every time when I was gonna run, everyone opened their arms, including you, Harpreet, right? Everyone opened their arms and said, "Oh, this is a great idea. Come into this, and you should definitely do this. And this is one of the things that we need help with and I would urge anyone that's out there that wants to do it, because we need like new generation to step in with our new ideas and new policies. And so my transition, it is drastically different now. We do have a ton of events that we go to, and we do have a ton of things that we have to do at the end of after we get done from work. But I would say with anything, it's balancing the life, and you balance and you figure out how you're going to do it. There's times that we can't, like, we're not spending as much time with our friends, or we're not doing a ton of social activities,
Maybe your mom is scolding you.
Yeah, my mom tells me all the time. She's like, "Yo, you have no time for us yet." Somebody calls, you're like, "Oh, how can I help you?" So,
Sure.
and those are the things, and I think that it's just give and take. And at the end of the day, you say your parents know that you're working hard, you're giving it your best, and it's not easy. It's hard work. It's you have to do a lot. You have to be involved. But see, here's the deal. That's what you wanted for yourself. And then why complain? Do it or not do it. It's up to you. But that's been our thinking, that we want to be involved. So it doesn't take a ton to get involved. And also at the same time, when you're helping individuals, like recently we were able to help this really kind lady for housing. And when you're helping individuals like that, it kind of touches your heart, and you feel so warm inside that you're making just a little bit of a difference within the community.
Sure. Great. I think because raising, I think, the leaders within the community, it's most important thing at these kind of positions, because I think even it affects, I think, at your basic level, because our community is through a transitioning phase. So previously we were thinking more about, I think, immigration, because obviously that was the first generation, and you have to have your foot on the ground. And once, I think, we have a couple of generations now ahead, so community is thinking more about local issues and how it affects their life. So it's really very important that you should, I think, just tell your kids, being part of, I think, some kind of non-profit or some kind of, I think, organization which makes, I think, some difference in society. And I think that's one of the also way to spread Sikh American awareness.
Oh, 100% agree.
And so on lighter mode, how your husband has cooperated you over the time? Did he fight with you, or he have been always with you during this transition?
I've been fortunate. He doesn't fight with me about this. We're on the same page on this. He's probably a little bit ahead than I am. I would like to say he's more like, let's go. I'm like, wait. So I think that's just generally, and it helps when you both are on the same page and you both want to be involved within the same things. So that's been my experience, and I'm fortunate that even my in-laws, they're on board with it, and my parents are on board with it. So I think that you need that support system, because there's going to be times that you need help, and there's going to be times that you won't be able to come home and have dinner, and things happen. So those are just the things that you're gonna have to deal with. But at the same time, you have to realize the bigger goal that we're working towards, and it's a wonderful experience. And if there's anything I can tell our younger generation, is to be involved. And you don't necessarily have to go out of your schools to be involved. Just get involved within the schools, you know. There's a lot of clubs within the schools that you can get involved with. A lot of clubs do community service or community outreach. Go help them out. And I think it looks good on your college applications anyways, you know, when you when you're involved within the community. And if you see somebody running, like for example, if somebody's running within local politics, get involved, get to learn, get to see what they're doing. And that way, if you are interested in running some point later, you'll already have that idea of how I want to run my campaign.
Sure, I think that's the best thing to get some kind of experience through, I think, campaigns, because probably in future we will look you as a DA of San Joaquin County. So
I know.
you just need to know how to, I think, run those campaigns. And obviously, I think the community will be with you always. So I think we are just going towards the end of our interview. So it's really very important to ask you about, because your community recently had, I think, one murder happened, which in the park, and a community member was stabbed and unfortunate death because of that. But I think our community has shown, I think, togetherness because of that event. We don't need those kind of events, but still it shows that community cares for these issues. And so I like to ask you, so after that incident, how your Tracy community have came together, or like what steps you have taken to address the issue. And I'm not talking about, I think, even Tracy, because nationally we have, I think, an uprise in hate crimes. And so it's, I think, story of every community. But how your community, what steps you are taking, or how you're spreading awareness about Sikh American community.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest, and it was an extremely unfortunate event for us. We had an elderly gentleman. He was stabbed in one of our parks here in Tracy, and it was extremely disheartening, and it shook the whole community here, because Tracy is a quiet town, and we never anticipated something like this happening in Tracy. And it shook us so much. I think it made us all unite, and that was one of the most, and I've always said this, Sikh community is one of the most heartwarming communities, because we all come together in times of need, and that's exactly what happened. And you know, we came together for the family, we came together to make any changes within our community, we came together to do seminars of being able to understand. And also, I think one of the biggest changes that we've personally made within our organization and also within our Tracy community is we are more visible, if that makes any sense. We're going to events, we're wearing all of our turbans, and we're wearing turbans, we're going to events wearing turbans. And for example, we did our races here, and we've just made a cognizant effort that any event that's going to be happening in Tracy, or any event that we can be involved in, we're going to do it, and we're going to take our community with us. And that's one of the things that we're doing. You only bring awareness by people seeing you. You bring awareness by talking to people. And I don't think there's, individuals. There's more good people than bad people. There's only a few bad people, but at the same time, when we influence good people and we get to meet individuals, I believe it makes an overall change of how we are recognized as a community, and also our traits and things that we do.
So with that, I think this would be my last question. So how you see, because I think we have many community members now at position of council members at, I think, throughout Central Valley. If you look, Livingston, we, I think, used to have and still have the first mayor, if I can say, from Sikh community. And also we have in Lathrop and we have in Modesto. So we have, I think, quite a lot of council members. So what you envision or what you see in future where the community will go in terms of having those leadership positions?
I think that it's great that we are all like entering the political arena, because as I think Harpreet, we were talking earlier, you can only make a change by being heard. You can't make a change by sitting in your house and thinking about the change. You have to go out and make your voices heard. And you also have to go get these positions where you can actually affect change. And I think that's one of the biggest things our communities realized. And I know we were talking earlier it was about immigrants and about businesses, but now it's how can we impact our community and how can we make those changes for our future generation. And I would say one of the biggest example is Manny Grewal, who's running for state senate. He wears a turban and he's running for state senate, and that's a testament of how far we've come from, let's say, running as city council or school board. We have a long future ahead of us, and we just need to continue trying. And the more we get involved and the more we figure out all the policies that work in our favor, that would only help us and our future generations.
Yeah, and I think our community is on a great path. To reach those levels of governorship or Congress, or you never know,
even beyond president. I mean, yes,
so,
of course, why not? And I think that that's extremely important for us to aim for the stars, because that's what we're no less. Why not? Try it. We're extremely educated human beings. We're highly competent. We are hardworking. So why not? And I think that's what we have to do. We have to keep trying. And in the future, who knows? We'll be the president.
Thanks for your time. And I think because I think the main purpose of these videos is to bring about your ideas, your views. Maybe a lot of people will be listening, and so they will think about it, especially I think the youth, because they just need some path. And a person providing their story, their views, I think can provide that path, and they can envision that it's possible. And probably I need to contact and I will encourage you to contact her, because I think it's really important to choose a path in life early on. You can always, I think, get into politics. There is no bar for that. But I think if you have a good platform early on, it's always good, because it just, I think, increase your path to the level of presidency.
I agree. And I think the more you get involved and the more you have to become an individual and a competent individual to run in politics. You have to establish yourself before you decide to do that. And I think we've seen great individuals come out of our community and win. And earlier I was going to say we have to look at Canada. Canada is doing so much better than at politicians projecting themselves into politics at higher levels. And I think we can always learn from them as well.
Good. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
And
no
thanks
problem.
for being the first guest.
My pleasure.
But stay tuned, because we would be also having a video with Mr. Husband, because it would be great, because he is also doing great work in the community, and it's really important to also cover him. And we would have some, I think, some lighter mode segment in that video, so that we can bring you both together.
Oh, that would be wonderful.
So stay tuned for that, and thanks for watching this video. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.